Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Justin, editor-in-chief of Rapzilla.com. And this is it. This is the final episode of Community During Chaos, episode 25. I'm going to bring it back next year, but with the holidays here, I have not missed a week. This is 25 straight weeks, 75 interviews. And I'm going to be honest, I'm tired. And it takes a lot to interview that many people. There's been a ton of chaos and a ton of community learned throughout this year. So I hope that you've all learned and walked in someone else's shoes with me, as I have. We have Jeannie Ortega, who is a singer, a reporter, an actress. She's got an incredible story. And actually, we're kind of fitting a theme along with this episode. Jeannie is going to be on here to talk about adoption. And then next is OnBeatMusic producer OB, who of course does our Critique Fridays. OB is going to talk about being a stepfather and welcoming kids that weren't his into his life and now being a father in that way. So those are the first two things we have in common. And then the third one, we're going to have Phil the Voice and Vince Serrano. Phil the Voice is a rapper. Vince is in charge of Outsiders Clothing, and they're doing Stop the Traffic tour to help bring awareness to stop sex trafficking of boys. Usually we hear about women or young girls that are being trafficked. But their initiative is to bring awareness to the boys who are being trafficked. So children are the theme of this entire episode. And yeah, so it should be great. Jeannie and Obi are good friends of mine. I've known for a long time. I've never spoken to Phil, but I've posted his music all the time. And I've seen Vince's work with the Outsiders clothing brand. So this is a dope way to end the whole series out. And then I will be back at some point in the new year, and maybe we'll chat at the end of this whole thing.
How are
Long,
you?
long time no see.
I know, right?
We threw a podcast in there like a year or so back to talk, but man, I haven't seen you in a long time. So I'll just very briefly, everyone, this is Jeannie Ortega, singer from Brooklyn, New York, Puerto Rican, always representing. She's now in Florida, but we also used to work together at another company for Briefcast. We were assistant editors together. That seemed like a lifetime ago. That was 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, we made a lot of, I'm going to adjust this as I'm talking to you. We made a lot of really cool memories, did amazing stories, got to do some great things. And before you saw my face all over Instagram and on YouTube and whatever, you were seeing her face, and I was like behind the scenes helping stuff out. But I had to figure out how to do this for myself. But anyway,
And you
Jeannie,
do a great job.
thank you. She's only saying that because we're live, but no. I see a ton of Puerto Rican flags. I'm all about that. Wepa. All right. So, Jeannie, yes. I do not want to waste any more time. I want to talk to you about important things. So first off, I want to ask the same question I ask everyone. 2020 has been a year of absolute madness and craziness between COVID, the civil rights things that are happening. Now you throw the elections in there. Now COVID's kind of coming, not that it ever left, but it's rearing its head, an ugly head again. So what has your 2020 been like?
You know what? I hate to say this because I know it's been a hard one for so many people, but I gotta say I've been blessed. God, it's allowed me to really reflect on just how good God is, to me. I've even though churches have shut down, I've managed to stay close to God. um I also feel like I see a lot of people's true colors. So everyone was like 2020 vision,
Yeah, and like, messed that up.
Yeah, but they thought it was gonna be, whatever, like for their life. If anything, I think 2020 has been very revealing, exposing.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of people's true colors. I've seen my own true colors,
Yeah.
and it's been a beautiful journey for me. I feel God near. I think it's important for all of us to know how to cultivate God for ourselves without a church, without a hype man, basically, because we're supposed to have that direct connection.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been blessed. My bills are paid. God is still providing, and I know that's not the
Yeah.
case for everybody. So I know that I'm very blessed, and I'm just really thanking God for His goodness and how He's kept me.
Yeah, and I think that's important because I've had that conversation with a few different people on the show where they're like, I'm really afraid to say it. And like 2020 has been one of the best years of my life, or like, I've made the most moves in 2020, or I've gained the most success, or it wasn't that bad for me. And I think that is important too. Like, obviously there's people who are going through things, but you should be able to celebrate and praise God and be happy for your victories in life.
Yeah.
And you should be able, even if you're going through a tough time, be able to celebrate and have joy with people who are experiencing good things.
And at the same time, I do want to say I have had 4 deaths this year. 2 of them, my grandfathers. So my husband's grandfather, who I was so close to, and
Yeah.
I'm still grieving. And that was at the top of this year. We buried him in Grenada. And then my grandfather in August, which
Sorry.
I can't even think about it because it's so painful, but they both lived very long lives. They were both the patriarchs of our family, and they left incredible legacies to look towards. But in the midst of my grief, I like you said, I'm looking at the good and giving God thanks for sure.
Right. And I mean, there's going to be ups and downs of every year too, of course. But 2020, it just seems like, man, like one week after another, it's like, all right, what else? What else is going to change in the news? But again, celebrating those victories, grieving when you need to grieve, but just being like, you know what? We're almost out of this year. So we've gotten through this year.
Yeah.
And hoping for a great 2021. So, I mean, just give us something. Just give us a little something. So during this season, what have you been able to do, whether it be, with your church or your platform on your own, in your own local community, to like inspire change or encourage people?
Well, me and my husband, we have a digital, it's an international digital ministry in a sense, but we meet, here with whoever's local, but we were determined to use everything that we have to continue to spread the gospel of Jesus, right? And when we left New York, I had such a big following in New York. So moving to Orlando kind of forced me into a place like, God, you moved me to this place where I don't know anyone really. And you want us to keep doing the ministry. So obviously you have something unique for us. And then I know it's going to sound insane, but it was really Denzel Washington. I was on a trip. I was on a trip for work to interview Denzel Washington for a movie that he did. And we were sitting in a circle, was a round table. And for some reason, he was like locked into me. And I think it was because I was young. He can tell I was hungry for God, and he's now coming into his own like authority in God and finally answering the call. I feel like, after 60 some years. And I asked him a question about the millennial generation and just about the importance of faith in God and all that. And he literally turned to me, he laid his hand on my shoulder, and he started to prophetically speak into me. And basically told me, you have to reach your millennial generation any way that you can. And God had already been telling me that same thing. Use social media, use YouTube, use live streams, use everything that you can, use it to bring me glory. And when Denzel Washington literally confirmed that word for me, and it was crazy, it was wild. It was like, I was like, wow, Lord, you're talking to me. And you used freaking Denzel Washington to do it. Okay.
That's a flex. That's a flex.
Right? Yeah, I know. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel blessed. But maybe I don't know, maybe I wouldn't have listened if it was somebody else. But yeah, it was powerful. So we've just been doing a lot of stuff like this. We do digital Bible studies, we do digital worship experiences. We're basically discipling, empowering, and equipping people from all over the country and
Awesome.
even some places in the world like India. We have a ministry there with 20 pastors that we're just kind of discipling and having them go spread the gospel, and
Yeah.
stay on fire. I feel like there's a lot of lukewarmness in Christianity. See, you didn't share my story, but I was converted. Like I was saved. I was
Hmm.
radically saved from being a pop star to really surrendering to Jesus. So when that
Hmm.
happens, that fire, like it shouldn't go out. And if it does, then that's on me. But I'm
Yeah.
still trying to do that with everybody that's in our lives. So
Did you see someone's comment? Wait, what did it say? Hang on, let me just pick that name up off the floor for you, Jeannie. um,
name drop.
so, but you were already doing this pre-COVID, right?
I
So,
was, yeah.
so has anything actually really changed much from what you guys were doing?
Well, now a lot more people are like, we wanna be a part of your ministry. We wanna
Right,
because I guess they're seeing the importance of having community, even if you can't meet together in person. And
right.
we're still doing that. We're still having community. We're still really discipling. Also, too, I think
Hmm.
a lot of churches are very good at preaching, but sometimes the discipling part and it's hard. Doing life with people is so messy and it's so hard. So I get it. I understand why a lot of people, a lot of even ministries don't get that involved in people's lives. But for us, we feel like God has put us in people's lives so that we can help cultivate whatever it is that they have to do in this world for His name. So we get it.
Yeah,
We get all up in it.
nice, nice. So, is there a plan to extend that even further in the new year, or once the world is seemingly normal again? Like, what else? What more can you do?
For me, I'm really like I we wanna really open up a facility. Because we're like a para church. We're not like a Sunday service church. We're more like
Yeah,
boots on the ground, helping the orphans, helping the widows. Like we
yeah,
want
yeah,
to go
yeah,
out in the street and like really link arms with people. So for me, a facility that can actually help people, and then also we can do discipleship classes, courses. We do a lot of stuff like that, digital. I like to do that more. So, we're praying. Listen, if it's God's will, He'll foot the bill, right? He'll pay for all the expenses. And but at the end of the day, like if it's just one person that I'm reaching through a live stream, I'm gonna do that with all my heart. So
yeah, yeah. That's awesome. And now you mentioned as part of the people you help, orphans or people in need. So one of the things you shared to me, before we came on here, that is you're looking to adopt, which in itself is a crazy thing. It really takes a special type of person to do that. So where did that heart for adoption come about? And can you maybe talk about that a little bit?
sure, I've always wanted to adopt. I've always had that in my heart since a little girl. I don't even know why. I really don't.
Hmm.
God must have put it in there, because even my mom, she tells me, I've always remembered you wanted to adopt, and I have. Um, and then I got married, and my husband was kind of like, I don't know about that. Like, let's start our own legacy and let's see what happens. And we actually waited a long time before we, attempted to even start our own legacy with like our own kids. About 7 years, I believe, into marriage. And then we tried, and I got pregnant, and the baby didn't live in my womb. And then we tried again, and the same thing happened. And then again, and the same thing happened. I
Wow.
think after the second time, though, my husband realized, what if I am missing something? Like, what if God is telling us to adopt? And
Hmm.
for, I think a lot of times us as people, we get caught up in how we think it should normally happen, right? The normal way it should happen.
Right.
But for us, it could totally be the other way. Like we might be, you might have to adopt before the natural thing happens or whatever, or it's just not
Yeah.
meant to be that way. And that's fine. I'm totally fine with that. Um, in the adoption process now, though, like going through it, we're officially licensed to adopt in this country. It is extremely difficult. I
Yeah, I
think,
wanted to ask you.
yeah,
I wanted
people
to ask you
think
that.
about adoption and they're like, oh, that's so sweet. Bless your heart,
You
And
just go pick out a kid and you go home, right?
yeah, they think it's the cutest thing. And it is incredible, but it is excruciating. It is so hard. It's so difficult. It's not easy. Just looking for children. We're adopting through the foster care children. So we decided not to go pay for a kid. We
Hmm.
wanted to go to the kids that were the most rejected. And in the foster care system, those are the ones pretty much that, you know, their parents didn't want them, their foster parents didn't want
Uh-huh.
them. So then, we would have a chance to adopt them. And it's heartbreaking. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, it's like shopping for kids online. You don't pay for it, you just select them. But reading their stories, there was this one girl that we came across in Arizona. Her name was Emily. And her idea, like her dream of having a family was, I just want to be able to dance and I want to be able to go eat ice cream with my family.
Wow.
That, like, just thinking about it again, like, it did something to me. It messed me up because we do that normally. We're like, okay, like, let's go get ice
It's just,
cream. Let's go. It's
and
casual.
let's dance while we get ice cream.
Yeah. And her dream, like, this is the little girl's dream, is to get ice cream. Like, it was just rough. And you see that a lot, and then when you request for a kid, they send you their profiles
Uh-huh.
and the stuff that has happened to them. It's just mortifying. And there's all these protection laws and stuff, so I can't really discuss the
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
that
yeah.
happens to them. But it's like things that you don't want the worst adult in your life to go through. And yet these little children go through it. So it's an extremely hard process. And then you select children that you think are perfect for you, and then you get rejected or it doesn't work out. And it's just a continual process of, ugh,
Yeah.
ugh. So it's not as glamorous as people think, but when you do get your forever child, it's gonna be incredible. And to be honest, and for those of you who are thinking about adoption, it really is about who you know. Unfortunately, I'm learning that the more connections that I have with adoption managers or specialists, the better chances I
Hmm.
have of actually getting paired with somebody that's a good fit for us. So there's all this stuff that goes along with it.
Yeah, I think I was telling you my sister was fostering teenagers,
Wow.
and just her telling me about what they have gone through before they got to her, and initially I don't think she was able to have kids, or didn't think she would.
Mm.
And while she was fostering, she actually got pregnant and she had a baby
Oh,
while she was fostering.
yeah.
But it's complicated. It's super complicated, and I think she's had 2 or 3 different kids now, just kind of fostering, and they've been teenagers. So
That's
not even starting,
God
from
bless
the
her.
baby, like they've experienced things. They've
Yeah.
been through a lot of
Well,
things.
also too, there's a big myth about adoption. Adoption, when you pay 50 grand for it, you can get an infant. When you try to adopt through the foster care system,
Hmm.
you're probably not going to get anybody under 9 years old. So,
Okay.
so that's something that's
And you have to have them for like a year, right? To
yeah, before the official
about a year.
adoption. But yeah, I mean they're still with you. And it's crazy. I mean, even in that time period, like you can actually say, I don't want this kid, which would be the most devastating thing ever. So, like for us, my husband and I, we made a commitment, like we're not gonna say yes to any kid unless we're absolutely sure. And whatever happens, we're gonna rough it out, and that'll be our kid, and we will help
Hmm.
them through whatever. Because to
Yeah.
be potentially adopted and then given back, like I can't even understand the amount of trauma. on top of everything else that they've been through for that, so we don't want to do that at all.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. Um, if anybody's got some questions for Jeannie, drop them in here as we wrap up. Jeannie, this is killing me because if you remember, I used to be on the phone for like an hour. If I didn't do an hour interview, for me it was a bad interview, and you'd always be like, "Who are you talking to? You sound like it's your best friend." So these shows really push me because I got to do like 25, 30 minutes, and I'm like, I got to get to the next person. I did that on purpose. Otherwise, I'd be here all night.
Exactly. We'll just be kicking it. Well, I do have a book coming out, and I talk about my life story. And I talk a little bit about just my journey of adoption and stuff, but that's kind of what I've been up to, working on a book. I'll be working on new music again for the new year. So in the midst of all this, none of it was in vain. I'm like, wow, I wrote half of my book during COVID. It was like, what a interesting time to be, alive and to be able to record what's happening and even just share from God.
Yeah, you had a little bit, of a lull in activities, so you had time. OnBeatMusic, who's actually on next, praise God for you and your husband. Definitely applaud you guys for what you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much.
If you stick around, OnBeatMusic, he's actually a stepfather to Obi. What is it? 4 kids.
Wow.
So he got married and now became the stepfather to 4 kids. So it's cool. It's cool how this episode lined up, how it's just different topics of parenting and children. What music is Jeannie listening to keep her strong during the adoption process? That's interesting. Is there like an adoption playlist?
That's a good question. I've been listening to a lot of worship music for sure, just to keep my heart and my spirit right. Chandler Moore, I don't know if y'all know who he is. He just released an EP called Feelings, and it's actually it's good for people suffering through depression and stuff like that. Like I personally, I've had some low moments, but I wouldn't say I'm suffering from depression or anything. But it's been so good to hear somebody be so honest about how they're feeling, but also acknowledge that even though they're feeling like God isn't listening or he's not there, acknowledging that he actually is there and he is catching our tears and stuff like that. So right now I've been on Chandler Moore on repeat. That new Dayton just dropped. That's my brother, so I was listening to him.
Dayton's the homie.
Social Club, Misfits. I'll actually be talking to them tomorrow, so I've been jamming to them. So
we had Fern on here last week. Actually, Fern was here last week. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm so happy for all that they're doing. Really, really worship music though. Brother Moss, that's who I'm really. That's my lifeline. That's where I just go to the well and just drink.
Drink from the well. So for you, what are your hopes and dreams for the future? Like, I know that's super vague, so it could really mean anything, but like, we're getting out of this year, and what do you just want to see, whether your life, the nation, the world?
Yeah, so for me, honestly, I really want people to have authentic experiences with God. Nothing grieves me more than professional Christianity. And I do think that Western culture has become so good at it. And I really think that God has allowed us to be shaken in a way that really shows us what is in us. And my heart is that none of that's happened in 2020 will be wasted. Like us being locked down, us having to deal with our families. I pray for like real authentic Christianity where we're actually loving each other, where we're actually forgiving each other, where we're actually communing with God, like real one-on-one intimate time with God, not 5-minute devotions. And I'm not trying to mess with anybody's devotion time, but we have become those you virgin 5-minute devotions, and that's it. There needs to be more. There needs to be true communing with God and with each other. And even if we're separated from each other, being able to stay connected and stay loving each other through stuff like this. Through, you know, right now I'm looking to the side because my ministry's running a class as this is on, and my girls are on in the course. I have somebody facilitating, but they're communing, they're getting to know, you know, more about God, getting to know more about their identity in God. That's my wish for everybody. Don't waste 2020. Don't waste what's happening. The pain that's happening is not in vain. Let's not waste it. Let's press into God and really grow.
Amazing. That's an amazing final word. That's a super dope final word. Everybody, as Jeannie mentioned briefly, she's got and I'll second it. She has a crazy testimony, an amazing story of where she was and where she's at now and how she got there all in between. I don't know if I've actually ever told this story myself. Maybe.
Do it.
I've told different portions of your story depending on different things we were doing. But Jeannie's whole story is like a book, and now she has a book. But yeah, give her a follow. Jeannie, aside from your website, where can everyone follow you at and listen to your music, hear everything?
Yeah, I mean, Instagram, Jeannie Ortega, Facebook. But JeannieO.com literally has you can connect with me there through everything. Instagram, Facebook, our ministry page, everything is on there. And you can literally text me on my website and it'll come straight to my phone. So do that. Let's stay connected. You have questions, you have prayer requests, like I'm in for it. I'm in for the messy ministry life. It's not all, book an appointment with my assistant so I can pray for you. Like, hit me up and let's do life together. We're for it. Me and my husband, Ren.
That's what we're all about on this show. But Jeannie, thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon. I can't wait to check out your book and see everything you got going on.
How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. I'm happy to have you on the season finale. As I said, I had to bring out my friends for the season finale.
Oh, I'm grateful for that, man. I was wondering if I thought I was ever going to get the call to get on here. So
you're 74 out of 75. That's not terrible.
That's not too bad. That's not too bad.
I couldn't have you in the top 10. I had to get like other people out of the way and then be like, yo, I know my friends, I can count on them. So I save all of them for the end.
For the end.
Because they won't say no. Let's kick into this, man. The same question as everyone else, man. 2020, pure chaos for many different reasons, many different factors.
Yeah.
I know you personally as a rough year too. So
yep.
What has been your 2020 like? How have you navigated through it?
Well, it's been interesting and very challenging, extremely challenging. Probably September was definitely the worst month of my life. And yeah, from the beginning though, it wasn't as bad. I mean, we were like, the kids were getting like anxious and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were just like cooped up in the house. And typically like during the summer out here in Canada, it's really big for Canada because Canada is like, it's always cold like throughout the year. So summer is a huge deal to them. And you take away their summer, you're gonna have some problems. And for the most part,
you too. Like, you coming from Texas too, so summer was all you had.
Well, I mean, summer for me was all year round, bro.
Right.
So for me, I'm like looking forward to the winter. Like right now, I'm loving like the fact that it snowed the other day, so I was kind of like excited about that. I was like, hey, that's pretty dope. Love you too, Tyler. I see you. So for me, I think it was interesting to say the least. And yeah, I think the biggest chaos, which, I guess it was just unexpected, man, just everything that's been going on. And it was humbling to say the least as well, because to see like, even from the start, like in February, you had Kobe Bryant and Gianna, like his daughter, pass away. And that was just like the whole world stopped almost, and
that was like the catalyst that kicked off the year.
Intro of the year.
Yeah.
And to say the least, and we wouldn't have known what would have came after that. And I guess for me, I don't know, man. I guess for me getting deeper into what happened. I mean, me and my wife, a lot of y'all know, we were expecting our child, and we were 4 months into it. So, man, and I replay that day over and over a lot of times, and it's really hard. But just to see, the baby like pass from that was hard, because it was like, I'm not excluded from this. Like, we saw a celebrity, like a celebrities pass away this year, like like people that a lot of people respected and looked up to, and then like we get hit personally, and not only that, I had a friend pass away early on in the year too, which was totally unexpected. A good friend of mine. And so that was really, really difficult to take in. Just when I had to watch my friend's funeral from live stream. That
And
was difficult. That was because of the fact of COVID. I couldn't show up. I couldn't. The border here is closed. I couldn't just go down there.
right.
So then from there, and then getting into like, man, we're expecting, and then boom, we got hit with it like we got hit with us losing our baby. So that was very difficult. And then so I mean, just it's been a chaos of a year, but I can say for a fact that God has brought me, like, and plus, like, I'm still sort of a newlywed. I've only been married now for only a year and a half, if that. So that's still kind of like being that and a stepdad to 4 teenagers. It's like all of that's still like, kind of still new for me.
Yeah.
And so
You're in a new country.
yeah, new country, new friends, like completely new friends, new church, new, like, not new wife, but new wife in that sense. You know what I mean? Like,
A new a partner. You didn't have a
yeah, a
partner
partner,
before.
finally, right? A partner. But it's been insane. It's been crazy. So yeah.
So let me ask you about that, since we have this this kid theme. Like, you became a dad, a stepfather.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you call them your kids. You've already called them your
Right.
kids on here. So what is that like? And what was that like for you? Kind of just like, okay, like, these aren't my kids, and now all of a sudden I have four. And it's not like, they're babies or they're young kids. Like, you're walking into it and they're teenagers.
Oh man, I was scared out of my mind.
Are they bigger than you?
Yeah, my boys are. My sons are actually, they like, I play Call of Duty with them, and my oldest son, he'll be on. Like, I'll be playing with some friends of mine. I'm like, hey, my son's coming in, so they're thinking like, oh hey,
This a 5-year-old kid comes in.
Like low, like the deepest voice you ever hear, and they're like, Obi, is this your son? And I'm like, yeah, yeah, he is. It's my son. And it's weird because some people are like, look at me, and I'll be at the store with them, and they're like, y'all friends, or what's going on? And I'm like, no, these are my boys, these are my kids. And like, even enrolling one of them into like a co-op that we do for home, because we do homeschooling, but one of them
Yeah.
goes to school like half of the day, or like for like 2 classes. And we were enrolling, and the principal was kind of looking at me and my wife like, this is your son? Like he looks older than, or he looks about the same age as you guys. So it's it's been interesting, though, to say the least. I mean, it was very, I would say, like, being a step parent is like, and even just a stepdad is it's what's it called? I would say it's underrated. It's underrated, to say the least. I guess that's probably the best thing to say, because like I feel like we a lot of like, even just getting married to somebody who has kids,
Mm-hmm.
and I know in the States it's different, because like out here in Canada, I guess like they don't care about it. It's not like a bad, like, not frowned upon, because I guess
Yeah.
people do it out here. But in the States, like, people, like, cause I had people, like, I'm not gonna out them either, but some of my friends were like, "Are you sure you want to marry somebody with 4 kids? Like, are you okay with that?" Like, it was kind of like, some people would probably even go as far as like, "I would never marry somebody who has kids already," that type of deal. Um, And for me, I didn't care. I don't know. I just didn't care about it. I was kind of like, I actually prayed to be two things. I actually prayed for a wife. I was like, I want to pray. I actually wanted to be with somebody that was like the opposite race of me. Not to say anything bad about Latinos or Latinas or anything like that. Like I had no problem marrying somebody if God gave me somebody who was like the same race as me. But I just genuinely wanted to be with somebody just different. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I had a desire for that. And then I also prayed to be an instant father. I just didn't expect it to be 4 teenagers.
It's like, oh, you want instant? Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, so that happened, and yeah, I mean, like I said, there was people that were kind of like, man, are you cool with it? I wouldn't be cool with it, type of deal. And it was kind of like, nah, I'm straight with it. Like I had no problem with it. I think it is difficult. It's stressful. It's hard, and especially in the beginning, especially when it's like the kids are feeling kind of like, hey, you're gonna take away my mom from me. um and we had to have it out quite a few times before we both understood, like all of us understood, like we're on the same page. We love the same person for the same reasons.
Mm-hmm.
We care about them, we care about that person, and we want to do everything we can to protect her. And I guess that's the thing that we kind of like, we both had the same mindset. It was like, they were more of like, I'm trying to protect my mom, and in the same sense, it's like I want to protect all of you. For me, my
Yeah.
standpoint is like I want to protect all of you guys. It's not just her. I married all of you guys. I care about you guys. So that, I know that was pretty hard, and we're still on. I'm more. Um, I feel like I've passed a lot of like points with them already,
Yeah.
where to the point where it's like we're a lot more comfortable. There's still those days where it's kind of like I don't want to listen to this guy, type of thing. They don't care anything about that I'm a music producer and that we have a studio down here, which is like, I would think like, man, some people would probably, like, kids would probably kill for this, but they don't care about that at all. So yeah, that's pretty much that stepdad life, to sum it up for me a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny that you got like instant teenagers and we're the same age. We're 32, right? So
Yeah, I'm 32.
like you're still like young and you could do stuff with teenagers. Like
Right.
you posted, I think, a picture of you playing basketball and you're like, taught my son how to shoot hoops today or something like that.
Yeah.
My son is like 14 months old. So I'm not going to be able to like shoot hoops with him at any sort of seriousness till I'm like at least 40 or 41. So I'm already out of my prime by the time he gets to be a teenager. So you at least still get him in your prime.
Right. I mean, in a sense, yeah. It's interesting, man. But like I'll be honest. I do wish that I had them young, like they were younger. I do. I actually, like, if I'm being straight up honest, I
Yeah.
do wish that, just because of the fact that there was a lot of things that they didn't learn from a dad. You know what I mean? They missed
Absolutely.
out.
Yeah.
They missed out a lot of. There was a lot of opportunities for a father figure to be there, and teach them these things, and even like so much of schedule and just respect and type of stuff like that. With their mom, like with my wife, they're completely different. They're like, my wife looks at them like they're still small. You know what I mean? I'm coming in, I'm like looking at them like, hey, y'all are grown up. Y'all need to be learning this already. So like for me, and then not to mention, we're different cultures, like completely different cultures. One, I'm like, from America, and they're from Canada. That's one culture in itself, or two different cultures in itself. But then I gotta take into the aspect, like they're Jamaican Chinese, and
Oh wow.
I'm Latino, I'm Mexican. You know what I mean? So it's a huge oh, my boy Jonathan. I see your comments, bro. And no, Whataburger is better. So um so in saying that, like in my culture growing up, it was different. Like Hispanic Latino culture is a lot different. We're very family oriented. It's very
Yeah.
like we do a lot of stuff together. Especially when it comes to like just holidays and things like that. Up here is just different. Like a lot of like I wouldn't say like our household is like this, but I saw a lot of people's households like this up here. Is where like the kids don't really spend a lot of time with the parents. It's like the kids go to the room and do their own thing, and or like the parents are just like always at work up here. Like I've just seen that. Like, so I mean, I know COVID's been a huge test for a lot of these parents out here. But for us, that was never my thing. I always wanted the family to kind of be together and we do things and like we have
Right.
family night on Saturdays and like just throughout the week we're always with the kids, like helping them with their work. My wife's doing an incredible job with that. I could do better at helping that, but you know, my wife just got to lock down on that, and but in saying that, like it's just been crazy. Just to I wish that I would have gotten them younger because then I would have been able to teach them a lot of those things though, like certain things of respect, certain things of just like how to
Yeah,
speak to
absolutely.
like mannerisms, things like that.
Mhm.
Being mindful of others, things like that. I feel like I'm teaching that now, and like you know, it's kind of hard. It's a little bit more difficult because they already got their personalities and they're kind of like well, I
Yeah.
already know, but like you know, I still get it in with them. I still have like really good talks with them. I've still been able to teach them a lot of things. So, but yeah, yeah,
Do you let them touch your hats and sneakers?
yeah. I mean, the sneakers they don't wear, no, but the hats I let them borrow them and stuff like that. And I've given some of them clothes, but I mean, I'm pretty big. They can't wear what I wear.
So you're doing a good job.
Yeah,
So are there you think any stigmas that come from being like in a blended family like this?
like um,
Like I guess do most people, I guess you kind of shared that a little bit, like they kind of have thoughts like, oh, like what are they doing? What is he doing? But like, and then you kind of like, no, like this is what it's really like you can love,
I would
someone
say
else's
I would
kids and stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah, for sure. I think it's the biggest depiction of the gospel for me. Like what's her name? Jeannie? That was on
Jeannie.
here? Jeannie that was on here. She hit the nail on the head when she was talking about adoption and obviously we see the clear picture of Jesus adopting us, right? But in the same
Mhm.
sense, that's what it is of being a step parent. You learn to love somebody hard that even at times don't deserve it. You know what I mean? Even if they're like treating you like crap, and you got to learn. Like I've learned that patience. I'm still learning a lot of it too at the same time, but I'm not perfect at it at all. Don't get me wrong. Um, but at the same time, like I think for me, it's totally possible of loving somebody who's not your own. Um, but I would say this. It is it's not for everyone. I guess I could say that.
Mhm.
And the reason why I'm trying to be fair on both ends because some people I could be like, oh yeah, go ahead, go because it's you're gonna have it's gonna test you in a lot of ways. Like I've had a lot of talks with people whenever I'm like, oh my gosh, did I do the right thing at times? Sometimes when I overthink it. But like Dayton has been y'all mentioned Dayton earlier and I'm
Yeah.
mentioning him again, but he's been one to talk to me about like having a stepchild and everything like that because he had similar things going on with him in his life and we talked he talked to me and he gave me a lot of advice on that. I had a huge conversation with my guy D Tall. I don't know if he's still in here, but
Yeah, I
he
saw his name
actually
before.
yeah, D Tall. He actually, me and him had talks about being a step parent too. It's interesting, man. It's so interesting because even with what happened to my with me and my wife having our miscarriage, um, I didn't realize how many people went through that. Like when I posted that I went through it or we lost our kid, a lot of people hit me up like, "Hey, man, we just lost ours too," or this happened, and it was people that we all know that I was like man, nobody
But you
told
wouldn't
me.
have
Like I
known.
wouldn't have thought.
Yeah.
But it was really comforting to have that too. So like in the same aspect, like I had people like that were step parents and talk to me about the same way. Dylan Chase was another one because you know his oldest is he's that's his stepson. So in the same sense, I've had like a lot of friends reach out to me and help me with it. But in the same way, if you're dating somebody, I would never put like I would never be like tell somebody, oh, well, think twice. Like I would be like, no, if God is calling you to love that person,
Yeah.
you need to understand that you got to make that commitment to that child, even when that child don't want to, even when that child is saying no. And I think one of the biggest things that comforts me every day is like we had some premarital counseling before we got married, and one of my pastor from my old church, he told me, he was like, one day, because it was one of my daughters, one of my girls, she was like one of the ones that was kind of like really against me being in the household.
Mm-hmm.
He was telling me, he's like, one of these days she's gonna grow up, even if it's like 18, 19, 21, 30 years old. She's gonna run to you in your arms, and she's gonna be crying and asking you for help or something. And I'm actually like, it was really like, it really hit me, because I was like, man, that could actually happen one day. And she's gonna realize, like, even just the kids, like I know they're gonna get older and realize, like even when they are 30 or something like that, they will realize the impact that I made in their life. As me and you remember, like I would say for me, like my parents, I remember now like what they did when they were my age, and I'm like, oh man, like I actually really appreciate them more. So like I'm calling my mom like, man, thank you, I appreciate you, mom, like da da da, dad, I appreciate you. And I realize that, but I know that my kids right now aren't gonna see the same thing until they're older. Even with the fact that they're my stepchildren, like I know that they're gonna really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And you see Ian Moss's question: what Bible verses or songs have kept you locked into Jesus through this miscarriage pain?
Oh my
And
gosh.
he's praying for you.
Um, it's a song by the Sing Team. There's this one song by the Sing Team. Um, it's called Psalm. It's actually a psalm too. That's the funny thing. I'm gonna look it up. Thank God I have them in the studio.
Don't play the song.
I won't play the song.
Don't get my show booted like yours gets booted.
It's called "Satisfied in You." That's what it's called. It's a really great song by the Sing Team. You should check it out. It's based off of Psalm 42. So that song, I probably had it on repeat for so long. And the devotion by Oswald Chambers, my utmost for his highest. That one has been getting me and my wife through a lot. We've been both reading that together. I'm learning a lot more about reading with my wife and praying with her right now. So that's been a lot that we've been doing. Another thing is like what we've done as a family, even as my stepkids. Every night we pray together. Every night we get together right before they're going to
That's
bed.
cool.
We try to do some type of devotion, and we talk about prayer requests. We ask them what's prayer requests, like who has a prayer request, and each one prays each day differently. Like each one prays for the whole family every day. So it's like me, my wife, then the kids. They all trade off. We all trade off. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, man. And I mean, my final question for you, unless anyone else has any questions, is as this year closes out, what are you most looking forward to, like in the future? Like, do you have any goals, any wishes, hopes, dreams?
Well, one, be able to come back to the States and visit finally. It's been a year and a half I haven't seen my family. That's been hard.
Wow.
Yeah, because once I left Canada, I moved here and I couldn't just go back. You know what I mean? Because I've been working on my citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
Because of COVID, my citizenship got pushed back. So everything got shut down here, and now I'm just praying for my citizenship to get like approved. So praying for the borders to open up and being able to visit as soon as I get my citizenship, and man, I'm partnering with a company coming, and it's for producers. So I'm not saying everything fully yet, but shout out to my producer fam, and yeah, and just continue working with you guys, Rapzilla, doing Critique Fridays, and coming out with new music and everything. So who knows? I can't really, as much as I want to plan more things and say like, yo, I plan to do this, I want to do this. After 2020, I've been like,
There's no,
I'm like, I ain't
you
planning
can't plan
nothing.
for
I'm
anything,
not
man.
planning nothing anymore. I'm like,
Waste of
whatever
time.
happens, God, you allow it. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah, man, I feel it. I actually skipped one of my questions, and we have a couple minutes still, so I'll ask it. So just being in Canada now and watching the state of everything that's happening in the U.S. Obviously, you know all about what it's like to live in the U.S. So what's it like kind of watching from in Canada, like just seeing everything that's going on?
There's a facade, bro. There's a facade with us Americans, and I didn't realize that until I moved out here. I realized how patriotic we are when it comes to America, even just in whatever state we're from. Even it goes as far as to like whatever school high school we went to. We had so much pride in those types of things, and I think it's a big brainwash. I'm not conspiracist. This is actual truth, man. I didn't realize that until I moved out here, and I was like, I'm stupid. Like when it comes to like even when it came to like my education in the US, like it's just really focused on US. Even Hollywood movies, it's just really focused on how bigging up the US and
on like power,
just
like
power,
that
like how much
prestige.
like not only that, it's just like even I'm not trying to get into politics, but even just the thoughts of socialism and everything like that. I remember moving up here when I was about to move up here. I had people were telling like big people that like were what that I looked up to. They were like, "Oh, brother, like in my church, they were just like, brother, it's a socialistic government. You better be careful." I come up here and I'm like, it's so much better. Like I don't understand. I don't understand. And then I realized how bad it is that it is in America, just looking from now as a Canadian to to looking at the US, I'm like, I can understand why people hate us. Like in the US, from other countries, and even just how much we don't know about other countries is insane. Like, yeah, so I would say like the U.S. needs a reform, a huge reform, in a lot of ways, and I honestly think it's gonna happen. I'm praying that it does. I think it had to get bad before it gets good. I still think that, and I think it's starting to curve the other way. So yeah, I mean, I'm praying for the U.S. I mean, my family and we've been praying for it. So
Where yeah, somebody asked how is socialism better, bro? I feel like that's way too much of a loaded answer to get on
way
this.
too much.
And you didn't say necessarily
I
that
didn't say
socialism better.
socialism is better. I was
I
just saying that people were saying, "Oh my gosh, they're in socialism." I'm just saying Canada is better. I'm not saying socialism is better. So don't get my words
but
mixed
I
up.
also I also think, and I'll help you out, OB, is our perception of what we may think and hear what socialism is actually entirely different
Right.
than what you've experienced.
Yeah, up here is very liberal too. Like we have a liberal government up here, and it's like partly socialistic, but like partly it's just more like liberal. And then there's like Republican too, and everything. There's a lot. It's a mixture of everything, but it works really well. And like, and not only that, like I'm not saying racism doesn't exist up here, but bro, like I am not afraid to get pulled over by a cop anymore here. Like I got pulled over up here for the first time with my wife, and I was so nervous. I was because I was already knowing what to expect. I've gotten pulled over with racist by racist cops like on the way to Derek Miner's album release party in 2017, and they thought me and my black friend kidnapped my white friend who was driving. Like we were, I'm not even kidding, bro. They had guns, like had their hands on their gun, and they took my white friend out of the car, and they were like trying to like, "Are you okay? Like, how do you know them? You sure that like they didn't kidnap you?" And he even told us, he was like, "Bro, they asked me all these questions," it was insane, man. So I mean, I've had that type of stuff, but like night and day difference. Like when we did the Black Lives Matter march here in Canada, and we did it in Ontario in Niagara Falls. It was a huge march. There was a lot of people there. Thousands of people were there, and the cops were in the march with us. They blocked off the intersections for us.
Wow.
And they were the chief of police of the Niagara Falls like region. He was marching with us, holding a sign and everything. It was like it was so much more unity there here in what I've seen. And that's not to say that there's not any racism here, because there is other stuff that's happened here, but it's not as like huge as it is in America. Like everybody actually understands, like, hey, black people are people, brown people are people. There was an understanding of that, and I think a lot of it is because now that's another story, but the homosexual community is really big here, and they're really accepted here in that sense. You know what I mean? So I think it's like if they're already accepted here, like even just racism, it doesn't make sense to be
like that's like old news.
Yeah, it's like, oh, really? It's 2020. You're still racist? Like, it doesn't make sense. So
Yeah. But real quick, where can everyone follow you, find you, and all that?
Well, you can follow me at OnBeatMusic, everywhere, Twitter, Instagram. Hit up the link in my bio on Instagram for all my stuff for Spotify and everything. Or you can just go to onbeatmusic.net and then tune in for Fridays on Rapzilla for Critique Fridays too. So.
All right, bro. Well, good catching up with you, man. I'll catch you later. Thank you for joining me on this final episode.
Thank you, man. And, I appreciate you.
Good to have you guys on. You guys are the final guest of season 1. Interview 75. Nice number to end the series on until next year.
Honored, bro. Thanks for having us on, bro. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, man. It was. I'm excited to have you guys on because I've done so many stories on sex trafficking in the past. I've written about. I'm sure you guys are aware of the Safe House Project.
Yeah.
With Legend and Renaissance Music, they're doing all that. I've spoken to Layla Mickelwaite, who does the Trafficking Hub on Pornhub. Talking about trafficked women there.
Right.
A few years ago, I interviewed. What was the name of that movie? In Plain Sight.
Right.
I think Natalie Grant was running that, and I did a story for that. So when Billy, sent the press release my way to speak to you guys, I was like, man, I'm all about this because these are the stories that, I love to tell, and they're super important.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, go ahead.
We're pumped, bro. I mean, not only being a hip hop artist, but bro, being a pastor for over 20 years, it's our heart to shed light on stuff. I'm a senior pastor in Los Angeles, and so it's our heart to really shed light on the struggle of people that are voiceless. Hence my name, For the Voice. And it's been my pleasure to engage on this topic, man. So we're thankful that you brought us in. That's what's up.
I want to ask, how has your 2020 been for the both of you, and what, how have you navigated through it and just gone through the craziness of it?
Well, it's been a blessing for me. Got to spend some time with my adult children. Got to spend a lot of time with my wife working from home. I was able to invest some time into the clothing brand to learn some things, target marketing, different things I've been wanting to do. And the brand really took off. I actually don't have to go back to my 9 to 5. I'm doing this full time now.
Wow, congratulations.
Brand as a platform to do things like help combat human trafficking and different projects.
Amazing. What about you, Phil?
Yeah, bro, it's been crazy. It's been wild, like for all of us, I think. Just kind of trying to find that equilibrium, and but at the same time, it's been a blessing for me, man. I have a little 16-year-old daughter. I got a 12-year-old little boy, and just to be able to spend quality time with them and to pastor them, I'm pastoring all these other people. I got 200 people in my church, but it's it's good to pastor your own family full time. And honestly, I've been called back on a lot of levels to the basics and just kind of going back to what it's all about, man. Spending time with my family, with the people I love the most. And so it's been crazy, but it's also been a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, I've said this so many times on the show, like me being a father myself too. It's like, when have you or will you ever get another opportunity like this where you're just locked in your house with the people that you love? No one's going to school, no one's going to work, no one has anything to be at. You're all just stuck together, whether you like it or not, but you know, rekindle those bonds in that relationship. You may never have another period of time like that again.
Yeah, bro.
So that's a blessing for people, you know, with families that get along with their families at least.
Yeah, I mean, and if you didn't get along with them, you definitely got a chance to learn how to. That's for sure.
Yeah, you would have had to have figured out by now. It's been a long couple months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bro. Awesome.
So you guys are raising this awareness to fight against sex trafficking, and you're doing it for the boys, which, as I stated before, isn't really talked about as much.
Yeah,
but I would imagine it's just as bad. So how did that all come about?
Yeah, my wife, Melanie, who's also our associate pastor at our church, Nations Church in Los Angeles. Shout out to those who are watching from home right now. She ended up going to Europe. She was in Spain as well as she was in Greece with Project Rescue, and they've been around for over 30 years. They are a part of the Assemblies of God, and they have safe houses where they not only will extract people, but they also, help rehabilitate young men, women, grown women, grown men that have been a part of the sex trade. So it's crazy. So as my wife was out there, because we've assisted them financially from our church for before I was even the lead pastor there, but I'd say well over 25 years. And so it's just a ministry we've been a part of. When I was in Romania, I was close to. I was doing some work in Romania through, doing some hip hop touring and stuff. But I also was working with Teen Challenge when I was out there. And so I first got exposed to Project Rescue way back in the day, and just was pumped up to see that they're not just pulling people out, but they're helping build them up. So my wife got back and she was in tears. She was like, "Phil, you got to hear these stories." There was just women in Spain, in Madrid. They were just standing on the corner, wearing nothing but high heels, warming themselves on, trash cans or near trash cans that were on fire. And she says it was just insane. And what was crazy is some of those ladies were like Syrian refugees. They were not nationals from Spain.
Wow.
And so when my wife got out for the second half of her stay out there, she went to Greece. She got to see the Syrian refugee crisis face to face. And this is where a lot of people who are traffickers will actually kind of hunt people who are hard up for help, families that need help. So they'll go and they'll say, "Hey, we'll provide your daughters, your wives, with jobs," and then they'll take them to these other countries and they'll prostitute them. Not after, needless to say, a very life-altering sort of breakdown that they kind of put them through for a while. There's a dispensation of time that a lot of traffickers will put young women and men through just a breakdown phase where they break them and rape them over and over. It's just terrible. It's like just the worst things ever. So after her kind of being face to face with this demographic and this situation, and with the families and the faces of the people that are helping them, on boots on the ground, we were like, "Yo, there's no way." As an artist, I talk, I write, I reflect, and I said I have to write a song about this.
Yeah.
And being a guy who went through some abuse as a kid myself, could understand the shame and the hurt. And I was like, "Yo, I could only imagine if this was like just one time in my life." But now we're looking at people who are dealing with that up to 30, 40 times a day. They're having to service men. And I'm thinking, "Dear Lord, help me." So if I don't say something, there's something unjust about that. So I wrote a song, "Stop That Traffic." I broke it down to Vince. And Vince was like, "Yo, dude, you need to put out your merch anyways. Let's do that." And I said, "Well, let's do it. But for this one, let's just give 100% of it away." And that's how the whole kind of collab started working.
Yeah. And what about, like, for you, Vince, was that as soon as he told you about that and kind of his heart and vision, like, what immediately made you just like, "Yeah, I'm all in, let's go"?
Well, even before we reconnected, we do this man's Bible study outside of a Panera. And one of the Tuesdays we showed up, the security guard said they tried to snatch a little girl from this outdoor mall. And we're like, "Oh, yeah." So, like, you think right away, like, this is the other side of the world type stuff. Literally, like, a week later, 15 minutes from my house, they busted a sex trafficking ring. And so now it's in my backyard. And so the man's group were like, we pray, but we want to put, like, our faith in action. So I'm like, how do we do that? We're not ex-military, or, like, we're not police officers. So how do we help?
Mm-hmm.
Then me and Phil reconnected, and we started talking, and it just, that was abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. We started talking about the same thing, and we're like, how can we do something,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And that's where the merch came from. He already worked on he already had a song, and then now it turned into a tour.
Yeah, I remember one mentioning before that In Plain Sight documentary. I remember there being a scene where they're kind of zooming out on a neighborhood, and she says something to the effect of like, you see these 10 blocks, every 10 blocks, at least 2 or 3 of them, somebody is being trafficked on any 10 blocks in the US, in your neighborhood, in, you know, whatever city, state, part of the country you're in.
Yeah.
Almost three out of 10 blocks has someone who's being trafficked on it or has been. So, you know, that magnifies the point you just said. It's 15 minutes away from your house. Happened right before a meeting that you were going to.
But I didn't even know about it.
And you never think about that.
Yeah. Internationally, it's like 1.2 million children are trafficked annually. 20% of those are all, that percentage of that are children. Out of that, it really comes out to like 1,100 boys every day are pushed through either the sex trade, organ harvesting, something like that. Illegal working in just inhumane conditions. It's insane, bro. But I think like it's important for us like to bring that out, that it's happening here in the States. Like you said, it's right in our backyard.
Yeah, yeah. And actually that was my next question for you. Like, what are some of the stats and figures? But you threw those out already.
Yeah.
Unless you have more.
No, I mean we're kind of hitting on 3 that are really helping us to do this, because the purpose behind us getting out here. I mean, I love rap music, dude. In 1994, I was working with Scott Blackwell. Love Christian hip hop. You know what I'm saying? I was on internationally. I was 14 years old, man, doing rap music internationally. You know what I'm saying? We love that. Got mad love for Rapzilla. We love all the venues and the platforms, but more than anything, we're at a place right now where it's not about being cool. It's about using our gifts. It's about
Absolutely
to be able to transmit the truth that 1,100 boys every day are voiceless victims, man. And if we don't say something, I feel like it's a tragedy. It's tragic, man. So like, I can only think about myself, you know what I'm saying? Because we only have our own worldview to look through. And I can only think about myself and what I've been through. And I think, Lord, help me to be a voice for you, because there's so many. And it's cool because people are catching on. I just got contacted by the Utah Attorney General. They want me to come out because they're going to be putting on a gala, and they're going to be bringing out just key people in the Senate and in the House, and even I think Ivanka Trump's going to be there. So that's kind of cool. But people are catching on, bro, and I think that we're just one of the many voices that are out here right now screaming, saying, "Dude, wake up! This is happening in our backyard."
Yeah, that's amazing. And I know, like, so often things get swept under the rug, but like you said, it's kind of waking up. Like, you're hearing a lot about sex trafficking in the news. And not that it's a good thing that you're hearing about it, but it's a good thing that everyone's aware, like, yo, this is like a legitimate thing. And there's so many organizations popping up and so many people trying to get involved. And someone just asked, how can people get involved? So how can they help out what you're doing and be a part of this?
Absolutely. There's the threefold kind of purpose behind what we're doing. First off, it's to raise awareness of what's going on. Secondly, it's to get people to be able to get educated on how to identify these victims. And then thirdly, how to report it, right? And all that wrapped up, that it's done explicitly in the name of Jesus. And I believe that's important, because this is way more than a cup of cold water. And so we're just wanting people to know the reason why we're doing this is because people have an inherent value that God has given them, and because of our love for Christ, we're reaching out, right? So we have December 4th, 5th, and 6th, a tour set up with some key cats in CHH. 1KP will be there, Bizzle will be there, Arise will be there, a young cat named Miles Minnick, who's blowing up right now, doing big things on the West Coast, and so myself, and then AI the Anomaly. And we're going to be just making some noise for Jesus. But ultimately, when people come to that show, whether they tune in, because you can tune in because we're live casting it as well. When you register for a donation of your choice, whatever amount you want to, we're going to send you an information packet, which will educate you on how to be able to recognize, how to report, and definitely how to be able to raise your awareness on what exactly is happening. So that's really what it is. What they could do is they could go to supply. They could go to vinestylerecords.com. They could go to either one of our handles, and they can find out really the whole information. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to make a presentation. It's not just a show. It is really going to be an active sort of engagement where people are going to be able to get educated, uplifted, challenged, ultimately pointed to the cross, and also give them some tools in their hands that they can download, or if they're in person, they can take those tools and they can go home and they can be more informed, as well as be ready to be able to report and recognize these sort of sick situations that are going on in our backyard.
And 100% of the profit from the tour goes to Project Rescue, as well as the merchandise. So we didn't wear none of the merchandise here, but if you go to our IG handles or the website, you can see it.
Yeah.
And how long will the merchandise sales be going towards this?
Keep it going. It's always going to go towards it.
Right.
Indefinitely.
We're even looking at potentially, because just kind of filling it out right now, but potentially doing this annually and involving other folks, different artists, different influencers.
Yeah.
Got mad love. We been getting mad love from people like Phil Cook, has been giving us like just pro bono help. Just cats are coming out the woodwork to support what God's doing, and we're just trying to be a part of what the Lord's doing, man. It's not about us, and it's really about God. And if we can use our platforms, praise God, man. Let's make some noise for these young boys. That's kind of what it is.
Yeah, and also supporting other ministries,
up and coming grassroots cats. Yeah. Yeah, it was really cool to connect with, what was the name of the group we just connected with this last week?
Project Safe House.
Safe House, yeah.
Safe House.
Those are your homies. You referred to them.
The app is amazing. The story shows about the pest control.
We're going to throw their app on there as one of our resources as well.
The OnWatch app, right? Okay. Yeah. For everyone watching, the OnWatch, I'll just brief everyone. OnWatch was created out of the Safe House Project, and it's basically a training program that you can take. I think it takes about an hour to do, and it'll teach you all the signs and, how to be aware of sex trafficking. What it might look like if it's your neighbor, if it's a young girl, if it's a boy. There's so many things that you may think, oh, like that just seems a little weird, but it's probably, whatever. It could be something like a very big deal, like someone being trafficked. So the OnWatch program, you take it, they actually will even send you a certificate and all that. I've taken it. We're helping out, pushing that with Rapzilla. So that's why when the press release came for what you guys are doing, I was like, I have to link you guys up, because you guys are on the same mission, and you're just building out for bigger impact. So that just seemed like a thing, and you guys will do some magic, I'm sure, in 2021 together.
Yeah, it's exciting, bro. We're just trying to make noise and just help everybody kind of leverage their own platforms to kind of heighten awareness, bro. So yeah, such a pleasure, man, to be with you, man, and it's cool to see your passion for it, because I think it's needed right now. It's totally needed.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. And it's like, I've said, I was like, if I have to be known as like the guy who's always writing about sex trafficking, I was like, I could be known for a lot worse things as a journalist. At least I'm telling a story or doing something that's making an impact. As someone with 2 young kids, I got a 14-month-old boy and a daughter who's going to be 4. It's like, yo, I get it. Like, this is right up my alley as a parent.
It's amazing, bro. It's been amazing.
I want to say, when I first heard about this, like, you think to yourself, what really can I do compared to all these big organizations, all this grant money that goes out for this cause? Like, really, what significant change can I make? But I realize if I do my small part and everybody does a small part, it becomes huge. So we just got to do a little bit.
Yeah, bro.
Do what we can,
Do what's in our hands to do. And I think that's the key, is like, I think people are always like, how are you going to change the world? How about we change one person's world? How about if we get people to recognize one of these young boys who's in a tough spot and he's saved? How about you did your part? How about every cent we spent? How about every hour we stayed waking up early and staying up late? Man, it was worth it, because, man, it's that 99 and the 1. Jesus left all those 91 just for the 1. So I think,
you don't know what that one would have doing.
Come on, bro. Yeah, so we're passionate about it. We're excited, bro.
Yeah, for sure. If anyone has any questions, drop them now. Have you guys seen any impact already, or have like any stories you can share about, things that have turned around for anybody?
Yeah, well, with the merchandise, we've had different people connect with us and some people have received Christ as their Savior, and they also have started sharing their stories. Like they found a voice through the connection with the merchandise. The merchandise. Want to talk about the merchandise a little bit?
Yeah, the merchandise is dope. It's called Stop That Traffic. That's our line. And basically, we got a hat, a hoodie, and a T-shirt right now. It's real basic. And Vince does, like, he's known in the industry. A lot of prominent hip-hop figures wear his gear. But it's known for its quality. Like, the stuff is off the chain. And I was like, yo, Vine Style was about to build our own kind of brand because, of course, rappers aren't making money off of selling records anymore. So
records. What are records?
Right. Now we sell T-shirts, bro. So and praise God. So Vince was definitely walking me through, and mad respect and props to him as I was building that brand. And then it just became, someone said, we just sensed it, like, yo, let's just do this together, bro. And you know, as he was kind of schooling me and putting me through the school of you know, textiles, you know, I was like, let's just use our respective our respective kind of platforms. And so it's been a blessing, man. But yeah, so that's the gear. It's a hat, it's a hoodie, it's a T-shirt right now. Super dope quality, and just 100% of that stuff goes to just help and support the fight. Right now, we're giving those funds rather to Project Rescue, because that's our kind of number one kind of connection that we have. That's an industry that we've vetted, because it's very important in these contexts that you vet these ministries, because there's even wolves that can come in sheep's clothing. And so you got to be real wise on who you're throwing money and time and energy at. So Project Rescue, I've had a personal engagement with for the last 15 years. And so that's kind of what we're doing, man. We're just doing that. And anything that doesn't cost the, you know, for the T-shirt, whatever that cost is, the print, 100% of that profit goes straight to them, you know. So it's just been a blessing, man. And hopefully they're able to do something with it, you know, and more people find out.
Yeah, that's dope. And you briefly shared, like, your, I guess one of the goals would be to kind of do this annually with different people. But is there like a wider goal? Like, what is kind of like the end game that you're looking to accomplish?
I'm hoping.
Yeah. Well, you can talk on it, and then I'll say something.
The sky's the limit. Maybe a festival, maybe East Coast, West Coast. You know. Yeah.
I mean, we'd love to continue like an East Coast leg. Like I said, I've got some calls from DC. I got 2 calls from DC actually. They want to bring us out. My boy, I got to shout out my OG Urban D from Crossover.
Urban D
brought us out for Flavor Fest, because Flavor Fest was all online this year, and he brought us out because he wanted to help us support. And so he already let me know that, dude, they'd love to bring the tour to the East Coast. And so there's some cool cats that are just reaching out. So definitely we want to take it to that level, but ultimately the 3 points still remain our goal, which is to heighten awareness of what's going on, train people on how to recognize, and then thirdly, report what's happening. So utilizing different people that are prominent within CHH, but also outside of that context as well. Whoever's going to jump on. We've got mad love from like Keelante Gavin, in the gospel scene. He's been showing love and rocking our shirts, and just different cats have just been showing love. So it's been dope. So basically just making it a bigger deal. And if we can take this on the road for a longer term sort of a run, then let's do it. And people are showing mad interest.
Good. That's great. Now, where can everyone follow you guys, follow the mission and everything that you're doing? Just plug away.
At Outsiders Brand on IG, and then just outsiders.supply website.
That's what's up. And then at the Voice Raps, and then also Vine Style Records, which is our nonprofit, but it's also our label. So Vine Style Records, man. So yeah, it's a blessing, man.
And people can grab tickets there too on the Vine Style website.
Go to Vine Style, you get the tickets there, or you can go to either one of our handles on IG, and you can follow our link trees, and you'll be able to buy something from Ticket Bud. You know, they just go to Ticket Bud. You can just search "Stop That Traffic." You'll find it there as well.
And one more time, what are the 3 dates?
December 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, unless you have anything else to say, that's it. I mean, thank you guys so much. This is amazing,
bro.
And
yeah, we want to thank you, bro. Thanks for bringing us on, and mad respect. We love what y'all are doing, and Rapzilla's been a blessing to me since I was a freshman back in 2011, man. So yeah.
Oh, you're an OG. You're a first class freshman.
Yeah, I am.
That's the OG. Hey man, I was still like 5 years away from Rapzilla when you were freshman. So you've got more experience here than I do.
Been rapping for a while, bro. But it's all God, man. It's a blessing, bro.
Yeah, so I'm honored and thank you for the privilege of letting me speak to you guys for my final guest of the year. Like I couldn't think of anything better to close this out with, especially with Thanksgiving around the corner too. Just having something that, you know, we could all be thankful where we're at in life. So now it's like, how can we help other people and be grateful in the blessing of helping other people? Bro. So thank you guys so much.
That means a lot, bro. God bless you.
All right. Peace. All right, so that was Phil the Voice and Serrano. They're doing the Stop the Traffic tour, December 4th, 5th, and 6th, to raise awareness for human trafficking of boys, and all proceeds of the shows and the merch are going to Project Rescue. Justin was a Rapzilla outsider back then. I certainly was. I was just graduating college in 2011. But yeah, thank you, everyone. It's been a super wild ride of 25 consecutive weeks of doing this. I've done a lot of talking. It's been a wild ride. It's been amazing to get to speak to so many different people and walk in someone else's shoes and learn so much. You know, I think I'm going to spend some time actually writing down like some of the highlights and some of the key things that I learned through these 75 interviews. It might take me a while, but you know, I hope everyone else was blessed on going on this journey with us, because it's just been amazing to just hear from people and hear stories. There's nothing that I like doing more than interviewing people as a journalist. So this was it, like times a lot. I do promise to bring this back the next year. It's crazy to be like, yeah, I spoke to 75 people in CHH, which is like this very small space, right? And there's still like, I don't know, I could still list off maybe like 100 people that I haven't spoken to. So we're not ending this anytime soon. I just need a bit of a break. Maybe February, March, we'll run it back. But yeah, shout out to my guest tonight, Jeannie Ortega, OnBeatMusic, Phil the Voice, and Vince Serrano. Check out everything that they're doing. They're all fantastic people.